Hello, this video is about creating screencast video feedback for students who may be in your online course, and we'll outline the collaborative process between the instructor and the instructional designer. So the purpose of this particular project is to provide accessible feedback to students that follows best practices in universal design by offering multiple means of expression, representation, and engagement. And some of the essential questions that this project will attempt to address include: why use video feedback? Why make video feedback accessible? What types of technologies can be used to create accessible video feedback? How does accessible video feedback target different learning styles? And with what types of assignments does accessible video feedback work best? So as you begin getting started for the video feedback project, there will be a couple of things you need to do to begin. The first thing you'll want to do is identify which technology you're going to use for your screencast. My recommendation would be Camtasia, but you might also consider using Screencast-O-Matic or Snagit or even Jing. You'll also want to identify the assignment that you're going to critique, whether that assignment is formative or summative. You'll need to identify your grading criteria. Perhaps you already have a rubric in mind. You'll need to have applied the rubric to the student's assignment. And then you'll also want to complete the assignment checklist to organize the feedback that you're going to give your students in the screencast. And then that checklist can later be provided to the students as an additional resource for them to refer to. During your recording, when you're actually doing your screencast, you're going to want to open the assignment and the rubric so that they are viewable to the student in the screencast. You'll need to provide an introduction, who you are, what the assignment is, and which course it's for, a purpose statement for the video feedback. And then from your rubric, you're going to want to identify just 2 to 3 areas that you really want to focus on. And then for each one of those areas, create approximately 3 statements or comments, and you'll want to refer to that assignment checklist. So that should be a part of your assignment checklist. Toward the end of your video feedback, you're going to want to provide information about how the student should proceed regarding the assignment. Include some kind of closing statement, something along the lines of, "I hope you find this helpful." You'll also want to make sure that you're using your webcam during the screencast so that it becomes video screencast, and your picture there for many students is going to add an extra level of instructor presence. And ideally your screencast is going to be about 2 to 3 minutes, but definitely under 5 minutes total. And so keeping that in mind, that might drive which assignment from your course you choose to use for this particular project. If it's the final assignment and you anticipate providing a lot of feedback, maybe a video screencast won't be the best because it may exceed that 5-minute timeline. So once you've recorded the video screencast, you'll want to send it off to your instructional designer so that it can be reviewed. Captioning services will be initiated, and you'll need to identify where you want to store the videos for your students once they're completed. So you might end up storing them in your course if there's enough room there in Blackboard. YouTube is another option, and within the realm of YouTube, you have several options for a private or an unlisted video. Vimeo, if you have a Vimeo account, is another option for you. Ultimately, you'll need to deliver the video to the students, and ideally there's about a 5 to 7 day turnaround here. Once students have received the videos, you'll want to survey them for data regarding how the video screencast feedback was successful or useful to them, and then ultimately you'll use that data to improve the feedback process for a future course or a future assignment in the same course. So there are some best practices and some things to be aware of. Your feedback should be constructive and succinct. So again, you're not providing feedback for every little thing in the assignment, but really 2 to 3 overarching parts of your rubric that are the most important. Make sure that while you're providing the feedback, you're referring to the rubric language frequently. Everything should be aligning back to the rubric and the standards that are in the rubric. Review that assignment checklist before and during the recording. Make sure that you use unbiased language, phrases, and comments. You'll want to speak in a clear voice and use appropriate tone and pace, and also address the student by name throughout the video screencast. As far as accessibility goes, there are also some things that you should keep in mind, particularly when you are coming up with exactly what you want to say to the students. And this is really going to help those students who have vision impairment, low vision, or maybe blind. So when you're using verbal references, you want to be very specific with relation to distance, location, using the exact titles, numbers, and names of things, referring specifically to arrangement or order, and making tactile references when possible. So for example, if you're referring to a particular spot in your grading rubric, you might say something like, in the second row and the third column of the rubric, the achievement level, excellent, your assignment matches up XYZ. You also want to avoid using vague language, so making vague references like this, that, here, there, around, kind of, sort of. Those types of words are not going to be constructive for a student who might have some form of a vision impairment. They won't be able to identify where here is, if that's the word that you're using. So it's important to keep these types of things in mind. So as you move forward with this project, you may find that you have specific questions, or there's a specific need in your screencast for something that's important to your course, and this may vary project by project. So if you're working with me, please contact me if you hit any roadblocks or things pop up as you're creating your feedback. You can reach me at julie.fuller@unf.edu. My extension on campus is 5431.